Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, Michael here. The Linux distribution Garuda offers many editions, but they all have one thing in common. They are based on Arch Linux and want to do a lot better than Arch. Whether this works out and where Garuda will be in 2023, we will have a look. Stay tuned. Garuda is actually a mythological creature and thus eponymous for the distro. Garuda is an Arch-based distro that wants to stand out with various benefits. One of the benefits is an easy installation with Calamares installation wizard. This is intended to simplify the installation and still be fast from the hand. Further, the Garuda project invests noticeable expenditure into the design of the desktops. These may not please everyone, but they bring impulses. The default file system is Btrfs with ZDSD compression. Snapshots are created by default. Garuda Assistant is a helper for various tasks on the system, also be worth mentioning. Garuda uses the chaotic AUR as package source. Thus a rich software offer is to be made accessible. An own browser named FireDragon, which is a fork of LibreWolf and thus of Firefox, is delivered to guarantee data security and privacy of the users. Garuda Manager offers tasks, for example, driver management and kernel management graphically. Garuda is a rolling distro based on Arch. This provides the latest available software. Linux Zen is enabled. This optimization of the Linux kernel is intended to improve performance, including in the desktop environment, multimedia, and gaming. Garuda offers numerous graphical tools to provide deep system intervention at the push of a button. Garuda promises always to be free as well as open source. This is to be a point of contact for a wide range of users. Let's check the key points. The minimum requirements of Garuda are the follows. 64-bit system, 4 GB of memory, 30 GB of storage, video card with OpenGL 3.3 or newer. As always, the more the merrier here. As an Arch fork, Garuda follows the same rolling distribution model. If you've just been paying attention to the specs, you'll know that only 64-bit architecture is supported. The package format is the well-known LZMA packed tar archive. Garuda started as a desktop distro with a focus on good gaming experience. Admittedly, they knew how to emphasize the advantages of Arch at the same time mitigate the weaknesses or hurdles of Arch with technical additions in the form of helpers. Thus, Garuda wants to address desktop users as well as gamers. This with its own design, which more or less runs through all editions. My Raptor system initially used 3.8 GB of the disk. The initial benchmark value in the memory consumption is just around 950 MB of RAM. The number of installed packages after the first boot is 1140. Let's check what we have actually. Currently there are 1149 packages installed. We've got 5.8 GB of storage occupied. And the memory consumption is currently around 850 MB of RAM. At the time of creating this video, KDE Plasma version 5.27.3 is offered. As you can see, we have the so-called Dragonized Edition at the start. That means it is a customized KDE version with a special theme. The desktop is macOS-like with the app menu integrated directly into the top bar here. Let me show you what I mean. Let's open Dolphin file browser and you see the app menu is here in the top bar, not in the window header. How does that affect you? I think it can be really blow you away. Nor Windows or macOS can offer you something like that. It's a bit special, but hand on heart, it looks great. It has charm and it's just its own thing, almost unique, which you don't get everywhere. Not everyone has it. That's what makes it stand out, and for the work on this edition deserves respect and recognition. Great job! At the bottom is a dock with a few quick starters. You can customize them. Overall, this edition is already very special. So those who once had macOS in use might like it here. The app menu in the upper bar is well solved and run consistently through the provided apps. The bar at the top offers a start menu, I will show you. Here it derivates a bit from macOS. There is access to system indicators on the top right. You can see them here. This is KDE standard. The window icons arranged on the left side. As you can see here, this is also well known from macOS. I find it nice. So let's check the pre-installed software. We have Linux kernel 6.2. As browser we have FireDragon. As email client there's nothing pre-installed. As Office package there's nothing pre-installed. As software container there's also nothing pre-installed. The Dragonized Edition comes without much ballast. The software stack is kept minimal. The FireDragon browser is a fork of LibreWolf and thus a fork of Firefox. Although it is stated that the browser attaches importance to privacy, etc. Adjustments to the app menu at the top of the bar may also have been incorporated. Whether the fork of the fork makes sense, I'll leave that to you to decide. Now let's have a quick look what apps are pre-installed. We have development, graphics, internet, multimedia, office, settings, system, and utilities. As you can see, not that much. If you want more software, then open October. There you can find apps. Reminds a bit of Synaptic from the Debian world. I think for beginners this is not really suitable because some software has to be installed. If you know what you need, you'll be fine. But as with all Arch-based distros, some knowledge will be helpful. Now let's have a look at the welcome wizard. Here's access to many important things, starting with the assistant. Now let's see what we have. We have Garuda Assistant, Garuda Gamer, Garuda Settings Manager, Network Assistant, Garuda Boot Options. We will start with Garuda Assistant. Let's click on it. And in the writer maintenance, we have system update, refresh mirror list, refresh keyrings, reinstall all packages, remove database log, remove orphans, added repositories, clear package cache, and clear cache in general. And the next, Btrfs Snapper, this moves forward, or this is some quick launch to launch Btrfs Assistant. We will click on it. And with the right password will be forwarded. Here it is. So we have an overview. And here we have an overview of the subvolumes. In the writer Snapper, we can create a snapshot or we can delete or refresh. We have also the possibility to browse and restore here in this writer Snapper settings. Here you can set some settings. If you are using OpenSUSE, for example, you may know Snapper in general. This is the snapshot tool taken by OpenSUSE and also integrated in YAS as graphical user interface. But here it is more fine detailed. So here you can do more than YAS counterpart. Here we have Btrfs maintenance. Overall, a very well assistant. So next, system components. Here you can change some audio settings or virtualizations, printing and scanning or Bluetooth. Let's go to settings. Here we can switch the shell. Oh, by the way, Garuda is now on the bash, not on ZSH anymore. We can also change DNS settings, power save tweaks, common settings, like you want. System specs is more or less some log or report, and other diagnostics is at my system empty. So, Garuda Gamer. If you're a gamer, you can here install some gaming launchers like Steam Client or Lutris. You can also install Wine and some related tools, also apps. In the writer games, you have quick access to some games. And of course, in the writer emulators, you can install some emulators as you want. Garuda Settings Manager. Here you have access to kernel settings. You can change a kernel. You can change language package, user accounts, time and date, keyboard settings, etc. On the Garuda Network Assistant, you can go to airplane mode, you can enable Wi-Fi or Bluetooth settings, you can also do a trace route or ping a target. Here in the writer Linux driver you see the network related driver by the kernel and Garuda boot options. You can change the bootloader, for example, the menu timeout. Here you can enable some options. You can change the background, you can change the splash theme, and also messages. In order not to go beyond the scope of this video, I suggest you install Garuda in a VM and try it out yourself. Everyone has its own preference, so it's hard to me to show everything. The Chaotic AOR is a non-official Arch repository that is exclusively maintained by Garuda and provides ready-made packages. Whether you consider this repo serious or not is your decision. Fact is, if you use it, you have to trust the Garuda developers. This is not a constructive distrust at this point, but just a gentle hint. By the way, the Chaotic AOR can also be used by other Arch-based distros. It is not exclusive to Garuda, but there it is the house repo. Altogether, there are 13 editions of Garuda with different desktops. A considerable achievement. But in some places, it also makes it a bit difficult to keep track. I hope the developers don't get bogged down here one day. Now let's come to the closing notes. The Dragonized Edition looks special. I'm sure it will appeal to some people and others alike. I'm kind of between. I find the impulse remarkable, but in the long run it would be too gloomy for me and the app icons would annoy me. I think at some point I would get a headache, but that's generally how I feel when I work with dark themes for a longer time. The decision of Garuda to go directly to Btrfs I find completely right and very good. I also installed in the Debian world with Btrfs and would also like to see less reliance on extended 4 file systems and more modernization. Garuda is an interesting distro and simplifies the entry into the Arch world noticeably. Here you could go close to normal desktop user, but be careful, with Arch it can also tweak something and inspire all the helpers. You should know what to do where. What is your impression of Garuda? I find it more user-friendly than, for example, EndeavourOS. The wizards are extensive. For the desktop, all sorts of things are included, including the option to install apps. Not found on EndeavourOS. Sorry, I found it good. But now it's your turn. Just write your opinion in the comments. I'm curious. Before I go, I would like to thank all supporters of my channel. Have a great week. Until the next video. Goodbye, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.